Who would have thought that a featherweight could pack such a punch? Picture this. Max Holloway, a former featherweight champion, moves up a weight class to take on Justin Gaethje, the reigning baddest mother of... you get the idea. Gaethje, known for his aggressive style and a record that makes him look like a bulldozer in a china shop, was favored to win. Holloway, on the other hand, was seen as the underdog, stepping out of his comfort zone and into the lightweight division. The odds were stacked against him. It was like watching a Chihuahua enter a pit bull fight, right? Wrong. Never underestimate the heart of a champion, folks. And so the stage was set for UFC 300, a historic event with a title as wild as the fighters vying for it. The T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas was abuzz with anticipation, each fan waiting for that one moment that defines a fight. And boy, did they get it. But as we all know, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. If this was a dance-off, Holloway would have won in the first round. Now, if you've ever seen a ballet dancer dodge a rhino, you'd have a pretty good idea of how this fight went down. Holloway was like a feather on the wind, all superior speed and footwork, moving around Gaethje's attacks like they were slow-motion punches from a Rocky movie. Sure, Gaethje had his moments. After all, a rhino is still a rhino even when it's up against a ballet dancer. In the fourth round, he managed to floor Holloway, but our ballet dancer wasn't about to let that stop him. You might even say Holloway was just taking a little break, maybe to consider the finer points of Swan Lake. But let's not forget, this is the BMF title we're talking about, not a ballet competition. Holloway wasn't just there to dance around the ring, he was there to fight. And fight he did. He traded punches with Gaethje in the final seconds of the match. A move that can only be described as a pirouette into a right hook. It was like watching the climax of a dance performance. The moment when the music swells and the dancer leaps into the air for the final breathtaking move. Only in this case, the breathtaking move was a knockout punch that landed just before the horn, securing Holloway the victory. And just when we thought Gaethje had him, Holloway decided it was time to end the dance. With seconds to spare, Holloway decided to stop playing games. And that's when things got really interesting. Picture this. Holloway, the former featherweight champion, decides it's time for a good old-fashioned punch exchange. It was like watching two pals deciding to play a friendly game of rock, paper, scissors, except this game was more like rock and more rock. Holloway, with the sly grin of a fox, invites Gaethje to trade punches. Gaethje, never one to back down from a challenge, agrees. It was like watching two knights in a medieval joust, except instead of horses and lances, it was pure grit and fists. As they squared off, the air was so tense you could cut it with a knife. The crowd held its collective breath, waiting for the clash that was about to unfold. It was like the calm before a storm named Holloway that was about to unload. And then it happened. Holloway's right hand shot out like a bolt of lightning from a clear sky. It landed with the precision of a master craftsman right on Gaethje's chin. The shock on Gaethje's face was priceless, like a kid who just found out Santa isn't real. The crowd roared as Gaethje hit the mat. It was like watching a tree fall in the forest, and boy did it make a sound. The look of shock was still plastered on Gaethje's face, as if he was still trying to figure out what hit him. Spoiler alert, it was Holloway's right fist. The final countdown had ended, not with a whimper but with a bang. A bang that echoed throughout the arena, a bang that signified the end of the fight, a bang that will be remembered for years to come. And just like that, the featherweight proved he could fly with the big boys. So, what does this mean for the BMF title? Is it now the baddest featherweight title? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves a conundrum. With Max Holloway, a former featherweight champion, now holding the BMF title, it's like a Chihuahua just won the heavyweight championship. I mean, we're talking about a guy who used to fight at a lower weight class, now knocking out the big boys. Let's put it this way. If Holloway were to face off against the heavyweight, it would be like watching David take on Goliath if David had a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Goliath forgot to bring his slingshot. Now, don't get me wrong, Holloway is no pushover, but he's essentially a featherweight playing in the major leagues. Can you imagine what's next? Will we see him take on Brock Lesnar? Or maybe even the Mountain from Game of Thrones? Now that would be a pay-per-view event. In the end, it was a night of upsets, knockouts, and one featherweight who proved that he's not just full of hot air. Until next time, folks, remember, never underestimate the underdog, or in this case, the underbird.